Survivor Now podcast.
I was busy on the beach, like I was on Survivor.
I don't believe anything you say on Survivor.
I almost called it.
It's now time.
I'm so excited.
Oh no!
I do love you, but bye.
Oh, it's so wrong.
I gotta go. I got something to do. Not as exciting as this. I'll tell you that right now, but.
Hello, Survivor Now, StockWatch Nation. The Stockites, is that the name? The stocks, the little stocklets. What's up, stocklets? Welcome to episode 2 of. Oh my God, we already lost Josh. Well, Bandit Survivor, how's it going? Welcome to. You're now the new co-host, permanent.
Perfect.
You were a guest.
Thank you. There's too many American people here anyway, but yes, so it is me, the Northern Irish boy. I've resummoned Josh here, but yes, so there might be a kind of amber storm in terms of like really strong weather going on here, but we should be all right. But if you do hear some loud noise on my end, just know that this might be lost footage in about an hour's time, depending on how strong the winds are.
Well, if it makes you feel better, it's all live streamed, so you know you'll get live coverage of the weather. That's better than any weatherman I've ever seen on the news. They just green screen it, from what I've gathered.
Exactly, live at the Northern Irish events that are happening. But no, it should be all right. But if something crazy does happen, then you guys will probably get all the views then. So that's what you need to know.
That's great to hear. I'm very excited to have Bandit on the podcast for today. Will I'm really. I think this is a really great start to our season. I know this is the second episode, but just having another perspective to talk about the power rankings, I think it's gonna add a lot to the conversation. So thank you for coming on for tonight.
Yeah, because you give I've always loved the I call it medium form of content. That I think that is the best way to encapsulate just normal videos on YouTube now, because now there's too much short form and like video essays. And so I feel like, would you say that you gain more retrospect because a lot of the things you talk about are all just prior seasons and happenings, and trying to evaluate where those moves stands amongst each other? Would you say Bandit Survivor?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I've tried to stem away a little bit from Modern Survivor. Obviously, I'm back for this, but if you're ever doing like Survivor videos in terms of having modern footage, CBS are just so bad. Like, they will not let you have any clips longer than 5 seconds. I was watching a Peridian video one time, and it was like, basically, sorry guys, this video is going to be a slideshow. So I've tried to like go back to, as you say, the older videos and try and retrospectively look at them and the history of Survivor. But I'm going to be more consistent now. The videos on my channel hopefully show. And yeah, I appreciate you guys have checked it out and you're enjoying the content. And hopefully today in this appearance as well, I can prove to you that I am a worthy co-host of sorts as well.
I don't. No pressure. You don't have to prove anything. Don't you worry, Mr. Bandit Survivor. And I guess just to lead into now, what is your take on the season so far? As either
We lost you for a sec, Will.
yeah, I don't know what's going on, but everyone's having problems now. Bandit Survivor might be caught in a hurricane for all we know. Which, by the way, like, be safe as well. I don't know the extent of the weather, but just
it's not too bad. It'll be later on this evening, but yeah. So I expected you to ask me about this season, and the choice of words that I would use to describe the first 2 episodes is unbelievably okay. Like, it's nothing offensive, it's nothing bad, but like, I wouldn't really say there was anything standout or fantastical about it, especially compared to even other Modern Survivor episodes. The past 2 boots have been a bit predictable, I feel. I feel like it's almost not choreographed, but structured in a very easy way to see. So you're going to have your funny moments, and you're going to have your confessionals, your sad stories. You're going to have your challenge that everyone goes out into, your individual immunity challenge, and then you're going to have your tribal council. So it feels like just Modern Survivor again, over and over again. But in terms of Modern Survivor, I wouldn't say there's anything bad that's letting the season down. Probably like a solid, I don't know, 6 out of 10, I would say, for the first 2 episodes.
You know what? That's optimistic right there, because I'm very involved with like Reddit and Facebook mainly, and so their opinions on the season are a little more negative. But like I'm in a similar boat. It's just right now there's no one that's really grabbing my attention on the screen. There's not really a storyline right now that I really care about, because it's like there's the Kaylee tribe, but like I feel like the Kelly tribe overall don't really lead to much outside of that trio or Alliance of 4, which I'm not a huge fan of. And like, honestly, Jay, I think the episode itself in a vacuum was a really good episode. I think right now it just didn't give me anything to work with in terms of what to look for in the future, because Hina got completely shafted. I don't know what's going on in Hina. Like, on Alliance is just blowing up. Matt's playing a weird game. And then I feel like all the important stuff right now is happening on Uli that we're just not seeing, because everything has to revolve around Kelly right now. And everything has to revolve around Alex especially. And we'll get into like Alex later. I'm very excited to talk about him.
I know, exactly. But it's, I guess my perspective on it is that I'm not going to look after, say, Survivor 50, and I'm looking back at the greatest Modern Survivor episodes. This one's not going to stand out to me. It has set up a lot of things, I think, very well, and it's going to be a very good transition piece. But it felt like it was almost setting up things for the following episodes at the expense of this specific episode within a vacuum, if you get what I mean.
Which I think can work. I think if I wanted to be really optimistic, I think the season has 46 upside, because 46, the first 4 episodes were a genuine slog to get through. Like, that is like bad Survivor to it's just everyone is just Banu for an hour.
But here's the thing, I personally feel like we are getting the same kind of start to a season that we've seen before. Like 49 is looking like 48, it's looking like 46. They have that disaster tribe that like you have to focus on it. They have to spoon feed it to you. And to me, I prefer a season like any other Survivor season where it's a little bit more evenly spaced. When you keep seeing the same tribes going to tribal, it doesn't make the first, beginning part of the season fun, because you know what's going to happen. You know who's going to go home. I mean, I was not surprised as to who went home this week. I even had that player on my Survivor Now fantasy draft, which sucks. But yeah, I keep seeing these disaster tribes, and it's just, if we can get through it, or if there could be a tribe swap soon, like I think that's gonna rejuvenate those new connections, and maybe
I hate
better
to tell you,
play.
Josh, I'm hoping that my assumption is incorrect. I don't think we're going to get a tribe swap this season.
This
I think
season, I can't.
I think it's going to be similar to 46, just because of how the idols work. It feels very weird to have that mechanic of you have to lose a challenge first if it's then going to be swap tribes. So that's my opinion. I'm hoping there is a swap, but the fact that they have kept 2 idols now, both on the yellow and the red tribe, I don't even know the tribe names, that haven't even brought them up yet. It feels like they're trying to desperately keep all that content for the following few episodes, so it's not as much of a slog as Survivor 46, but I don't know. I'm dreading the worst, to be honest.
I mean, in the case of the yellow tribe, what if they're just not looking for idols? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think anyone is. I don't think anyone's really shown themselves to be. Well, no, Juwan on Uli.
Oh yeah, Juwan's on Uli, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Hina in particular.
Hina is not looking, from what we're seeing,
we're not seeing that.
Yeah, we're not getting a lot of that.
But do you know what we all saw? We saw the downfall and destruction of Annie. What happened, guys?
Well, Bandit, would you like to start, or
okay, on what happened to Annie as a player, as a story, as a character, while Josh tries to fix himself?
So here's what I have to say about Annie. Okay, I think it was too messy gameplay. You weren't aware that there was a bigger dynamic. I mean, even though it was very vocally spoken about, I just think that we're in an age of Survivor where people don't necessarily want to take the big threats out. They don't want to take the bigger people out because those players are going to be key roles and key shields later down at the merge. It just wasn't the vibe. I think it's more having that awareness of what the tribe wants, asking those questions first before pitching a name. I think maybe if Annie was trying to figure out what other people wanted first before coming in with the idea, she maybe would have had a better plan as to not, dig their own grave. Alex kind of tried to sway it, but when someone's trying to sway, you have to kind of catch on, that person probably doesn't want to vote out the person you want. So I think I really wish I could have seen more a more perceptive gameplay from Annie. I think right now it was really just not being aware of what the tribe wanted. So
And what I find interesting is even in her final words, like Annie was blindsided by this vote, and I was like, I know that obviously as a viewer you're looking at all the dynamics and everything, but some of those conversations, like Alex literally coming up to you and saying, "I can play my idol for you," it'll be a blindside. You've got to be thinking in your head, okay, well if it's blindside on Sophie, then surely I'm the main vote here, and she was just flipping votes too much. But even if you look at the typecast, just in Modern Survivor, it was almost destined that the type of Annie was going to go. Implosion aside from what Josh has perfectly illustrated. It's an older woman on a tribe that has already lost one challenge, and you're really going to take out a Jake or an Alex at that point instead of someone that could allow you to potentially be able to win the more physical challenges, surprisingly, on this season. I feel like Annie was just basically kind of screwed in the position she is at.
I felt honestly, I kind of had a little bit of a flashback to last season. It reminded me a lot of Chrissy when Chrissy was trying to take out Joe and David and set it right in front of their faces. I feel like this is a different style. It's not tribal council. It's not out in public. It's going around to people. There is somebody who I do want to talk about from this tribe that I do think is going to be a little bit more chaotic, but I'll get into that later.
I feel like almost on a small tribe like this, the issue is that Annie brought up Jake, took it back, and then put out Sophie as a name. I feel like in a tribe as
Yes.
small as that, you have to have one name and you have to stick to it, no matter what. Soon
Because
as
like
you
also you can't throw out every single person's name on the tribe and expect them to vote with you. Like once you throw out everybody's name, you're toast. It's over. I don't think anybody can really work with you at that point. If you're willing to show that you're going to put anyone else's name out there just so you can advance one round further, that's not trustworthy. I don't think that that's honestly, I think Kaylee, I think you guys made the right move here. I feel that if you had kept Annie, Annie would have been somebody who would have flipped 100% to another tribe, would have found somebody else. I think, honestly, with how the gameplay's been, I think this is the right move moving forward.
Well, something surprising too about Annie, because I kind of feel bad with her vote out because she thought she was running things, and I don't think she realized the kind of game she played and what she put out on the island. So I will say I was always surprised with how much of a gamer Annie was, because there's some people who get casted and you can tell they're really there just to fill an archetype, right? Like there's some just older players who don't really care about what's going on. They just want their comfy alliance and they just want to coast. Annie cared, and she fought really hard for a better position, even that it wasn't successful. I will still always commend that kind of gameplay, no matter what. And we also have there's a comment I'd like to read from Jay, just Andy being a fun character, and the Carolyn upside.
She did have Carolyn upside. I can see
quite a
that.
few Carolyns, I feel like, well, potential Carolyn people that could be big players and big Carolyn energies on this season. So we've still got hope. There's still a few others.
Oh, don't worry. We'll talk about one very soon. But before then, I have a player not many people remember. What's going on with Sophie, guys?
Honestly, I think it's strictly confessionals here. We're not seeing enough game. However, the sneak peek that we did see after the episode showed that Sophie was being a lot more active in terms of having that conversation. We saw right like just a little bit of it. MC coming to Sophie, having that little bit, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So yeah, MC having that conversation with Sophie and letting Sophie know that their name's out there. I think that's going to be a connection that might actually be solidified later down the line. We saw that MC right now, in my opinion, she's the one who's really at the centerfold of Hina. Everybody wants to work with MC. So MC to me is probably in the best position on that tribe. And for her to go to Sophie and have that conversation, I think this could be game saving. I think it could be a connection that really brings Sophie farther in the game. The only reason why I rank Sophie on the lower side is because confessionals. We really don't see winners who don't have this many confessionals after episode 2. So, I mean, just ranking wise, it's not looking good. And we don't really know where Sophie's head's at in this game. So I think that's why I ranked Sophie at 15 and why she's at the end of our list.
Yeah. I have a general question, I guess. And I was going to wait until the very end of a certain point to bring it up. But when we talk about the meat and potatoes now of the actual rankings, what do we think is worse off? Is it a lack of any screen time, like with Sophie, like with Sage, like with Jason? I hate to spoil, but that's kind of where they're at. Or is having an objective worst edit where you're shown to be negative in some light, whether it is like Jake's shoe bandit being over the top and negative, or Jawan looking for idol and scheming openly and being caught? What is worse in a StockWatch style rankings, would y'all say? And Bandit, I want to start with you. I want to give you, because I don't think there's much to really say about Sophie otherwise. No offense.
Yes. Yeah, well, I know you guys obviously yous are the Survivor Now people, so you've done your own rankings. I quickly made up a list just in case. So I had Sophie at 12th. So she was still quite low, a little bit higher than some of you have got, and it's because, as you were saying, Will, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, at least Sophie has got a confessional every single episode, and there's been 2 episodes. There are people I put below her that have 0 confessionals, which I think is a real killer in terms of modern Survivor. There's been no winner to my knowledge that has a 0 episode confessional that is part of the 90-minute episodes that we're seeing now, Survivor 45 and on. I think it really is that consistency in terms of content. You need probably at least 1 confessional, 1 opportunity to showcase your opinion, no matter how brief it is. And I think that we're seeing a real trajectory for individuals that have 0 confessionals that are ending up pretty much just as death fodder at the bottom of the purple barrel, if you will. Again, I don't have Sophie too high, but at least slightly higher I would have had her. And then also, again, you're talking about the nature of villains in Survivor. I think people forget just how villainous Kenzie's first few episodes were in Survivor 46. Like, that's actually what made me drop down Kenzie a little bit. So I think it can be flipped later on. I still have Jake not too high, but I think there is always opportunities for them, at least in terms of history in modern Survivor, to flip someone's negative edit and at least be able to bring like a mermaid dragon or someone that's being brought up as a Daphne in Scooby-Doo gang and be able to actually make a good edit out of them. But hopefully I didn't waffle on there.
Here's where I thought
We
too,
waffle.
because you made up a really
Don't
great
worry.
point about winners with 0 confessionals. The only reason why I ranked Jason higher was because Jason did show skill with that puzzle. Especially when they were down, Jason was the MVP of doing that puzzle. At least to my knowledge, I saw him putting in a lot of pieces in that episode. So to me, I thought, hey, maybe Jason is valued on the tribe. I don't know. But I see what you say, and you make a great point.
But almost to be contrarian for contrarian's sake, and just to provide a different viewpoint, if Jason was crushing puzzles, potentially they would have given content around puzzles being his go-to,
Good point.
him being the
Okay.
person that's holding up the tribe, especially from this nerdier typecast. You just know they're drooling at Jason, and they're like, please, Jason, just
Do
do
something."
anything. Be like a Jonathan from 42, completely dominate these challenges.
No, but
They
you
want for this
understand,
guy.
he was an alternate.
He was.
Yes.
and so that is his storyline.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Well, because here's the
Well,
thing. Actually, let's talk about that because I think that's really interesting that you said that. Will Jason is an alternate, but Jason has made his story the alternate story, the underdog. MC is also an alternate, but MC has not made that their story. So we're seeing two very different alternates on the same tribe play very different games. I think it's really interesting to see how two alternates can approach the game and play a different way.
yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of the story, Jason has a story at least, and that's something important to know because typically in a season there's going to be like 3-4 storylines, people who have a trajectory and will have peaks and balances. Other people are going to be, I call them in the graveyard, right? Sophie's stuck in the graveyard right now, just not getting a good edit whatsoever, which is unfortunate, right? I hate when players get shafted, especially 90-minute episodes, especially when Survivor loves giving us some bullshit, right? Who remembers the chicken and waffle songs from last season? Did not help StockWatch at all, by the way.
what,
But
you're telling me that wasn't an integral part of Pal's winning storyline in Survivor 48? Chicken and waffle song.
no, I mean I think that's what they do now. Instead of like giving them confessionals, they just give everyone like one big moment. Like that was Star's big moment, and that was all she got for her entire stint on Survivor 47 or 48. But no, honestly, wrapping up with Sophie, I understand that she has had confessionals, but she's still a part of that club to me because her confessionals have been about nothing, and like everything has just been reactionary. I wish at some point they would have just had some confessional from someone on Hina, like being like, wow, we really overcame the challenge. And if Sophie was the winner, I could see her giving that kind of confession because she was mad when she got the disadvantage from Jawan. She was very vocal against it. So if Sophie was the winner, I feel like it would have just been they win, they go on the boat. Sophie gets a confession where she's like, this goddamn red tribe, boo purple edits. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Chris, by the way. What up, Chris? And on a similar token as well, we have Sage, who also just didn't get much of anything. Josh, you have her at 16. You have her last overall.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're looking at this Uli tribe, right? And all I continuously hear at least in this sneak peek is Savannah saying, if she's gonna say my name, I'm gonna send her home, right? So why wouldn't I put Sage at the bottom? I mean, I think Savannah is a player who's shown us some very dominant confessionals. I think there's only two players, both of them women, that have had dominating confessionals this entire season. And to me, that's Savannah and that's Sophie from the Blue Tribe. Those are the powerhouses of gameplay so far in these last two episodes. So even though we're not seeing, like, for me, the Yellow Tribe is just like, okay, kumbaya, cool, you're making dynamics, great. But the Red Tribe is still a little bit complex because they have their alliance, but they still aren't fully functional. Savannah is already talking about Juwan and the fire, then she's upset with Sage. I mean, something is going to happen, but for me, Sage is the only one who hasn't been talked about publicly wanting to be in something. We heard something from Shannon in episode 1, but Shannon just solidified something with other people that Sage isn't a part of. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but right now, to me, Sage doesn't really have anything that says, hey, keep me. I mean, Jawan just won a tribe disadvantage, so that might earn him some favor.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
have
have Sage at 14, like Will as well. So like I'm pretty low on her as well. I think what Sage screams out to me is kind of like Charity last season, where like I don't think her tribe's gonna lose a challenge pre-merge, and if it is, it's gonna be very late on. But I think they're just setting her up to be like on the bottom as soon as the tribes merge. Again, like a Charity, she was set up as an eternal boot. They never went to tribal council. As soon as they went into the mergatory, Charity was axed. I think the same could be said for Sage. And I don't know, it's just one of those situations where she's got 2 confessionals, and a lot of her SPV is just a lot of people being negative about her and saying about how, they can just get her out. She's not really a part of any of the core alliances either, unfortunately.
I think my issue with sorry, Will.
No, you're all good.
I was
I just yes, sir, Josh.
did
We
it
do-
again. I'm sorry.
We do this all the time here, Bandit Survivor.
Go,
so
Will, go.
If we do it to you, we do apologize. I just want to say I don't think it's entirely over for Sage. I honestly think that there is a choice, and I think in a way the show does it all the time where I feel like they're trying to set up something when they never do. But they could be setting up for an Uli tribe or tribal, because I think there is a question of whether it's Sage or Jawan going first. I think Jawan is a bigger character so far, and that makes me think that he is going to be a character that gets voted out pre-merge. And I honestly think Jawan has a better winner chance, because I think I still have him higher. I still have him higher than Sage for sure. But I think Sage doesn't go in a tribal council, and I think she does see tribal council pre-merge.
You know what? It's funny that you also talk about that too. I do think, though, when it comes to Jawan, I think that he is probably the most likely player on the Uli tribe to find an idol. I think he's the only person who's looking for it. I don't think anyone else is even trying. And I do think that Jawan at some point is going to make himself a target. And I think he's going to be the one who feels like he needs it the most on that tribe. So I could definitely see Jawan finding an idol, but I don't know where he stands with Sage. My positioning for Sage right now is, Sage, I only put you at 16 because I don't know where your head's at. I don't think I've heard one thing that Sage has said this entire season that has been who she feels good with or who she's willing to go against. And we still got that from Sophie. So that's why I ranked Sage lower than Sophie. Sophie at least has someone that Sophie's willing to go against, and that's Jawan. And I think it was Matt who threw out her name, right? Matt or
Yeah. Shout out Matt, by the way. We'll get to Matt because Matt disappointed me, but a few comments as well. Sage is being the first boot instead of Jawan, which I kind of disagree with. But
Okay.
but we've talked about it. I don't know why I'm shutting down for whatever reason. Sage, I think, is going a little farther though. She seems like a character who's making jury being a fun juror. That's she has upside. She has Carolyn 47 upside of kind of being invisible, being attached to a more powerful player in Shannon, and just hanging out. And she could be the new Carolyn Weiger. How do you, I don't know how to say her last name.
Definitely gives off that energy. That's another person like Annie that I was definitely getting Carolyn vibes from. So the potential's there.
And Bandit, anything you'd like to mention too on Sage? I feel like we're almost out of the woodworks.
Yep, pretty much everything covered. I always like to look at these confessionals in a vacuum, and I'm like, what's the winning story they're trying to say through confessionals? And Sage's literal one confession this episode was about how when she gets super excited, she needs to go have a poo. So, I'm not really sure if that is what you want to be putting up on the podium of the winner of Survivor 49 as their one and only confessional in an episode. So again, kind of going back to it with my whole 0 episodes or 0 confessional episode stick, it's okay, but then you have to look at the 1 confessional people and the 2 confessional people, and are they actually giving quality confessionals, or are they giving Sage level confessionals?
That's also why I think I have Sophie so low as well. And I still mix them with the 0 confessionals because to me, they are all the same. Speaking of 0 confessionals, this was a bad episode for Jason. This was really bad. This was horrific, actually.
I think the only upside for Jason this episode was being able to overcome that tribe disadvantage and still win the challenge. I think that was really huge, but we didn't see any anything from Jason. In fact, even the majority alliance that was being talked about, or just like having that conversation by the water well, Jason was non-existent. I don't think we saw a confessional from Jason this episode or a
No.
conversation from Jason
Yeah.
this episode. It was like Jason was nowhere to be found. So
Even when
that's
Jeff was
all.
handing him his like tribal immunity,
Yeah.
and was like, "Jason, great job in the puzzle." I think they literally cut to the part where Jason was going to reply to him just to try and screw him over in the edit. Oh, it's insane.
And I'm curious as why, because Survivor has gone out of its way and made some weird cuts. I think last season during the Eva episode, the big Eva moment, Joe went the entire episode without a single confessional, and I always thought that was strange. Same episode as well. There's the people in the new Vula tribe, the Joe, Kyle, Camilla, and Shaheen alliance, and how they all had their moment, and Kyle was for whatever reason not involved. I just don't know what the payoff could be for Jason, because there was such an easy payoff. Again, give him a confessional after the challenge, have him be like, this is a great win. Hina's been able to lay low for a while. I know he said something like that. Just put it in the episode, and bam, Jason would have been easy, like number 5. Like something crazy like that. And
The edit, man, it's not looking good.
yeah. And I don't know. I don't know where to rank him. I think Hina is just not going to win the game, as unfortunate as it is. And I feel like the editors are treating them very disrespectfully by not giving them adequate screen time.
That's actually a really good point, because they really, like, there has been not really a lot that's come from the first 2 episodes from Hina at all. We've seen blue or red, and to me that screams to me that one of them wins. But
Yeah.
I think because Uli is staying out of tribal so many times, that just red is just gonna, I'm not red, blue is just gonna keep going to tribal. They're gonna keep losing members, that it really makes it hard to not see somebody. So either somebody from blue wins, pulls off a miraculous win, someone from red wins because they've been dominating the game, or just in terms of strategically, competitively, all of that. Or, I mean, any combination of that, but or somebody from blue, like, really pulls off like an underdog story, makes it all the way to the end, something like that. I don't see yellow at all. I think they'll make it to the jury, but it's just I'm not getting any strong storylines from any of them.
And honestly, to take it a step further, I don't even think if I see a person on blue winning, I think their best screen time has all been very circumstantial. And there's a player in particular I think exemplifies this the most. We'll get to that player soon. But it's like, I think they just get a lot of screen time because they've been going to a lot of tribals and they are currently in the focus. But I think the main character is on Uli. I think Uli is the tribe to watch out for.
Yeah,
And
it's kind of interesting because you've had 2 90-minute episodes now, so it's like like 3 hours in totality of content. And when I look at the blue tribe, like Jeremiah likes worms, kind of has this relationship with Jake. Jake and Alex kind of have a thing. It really is just built around Jake. But I feel like I should know a lot more people in the blue tribe than I do. Obviously, it's not as bad as Hina, but I'm feeling like in Modern Survivor, you end up with the tribe that usually goes to tribal council most times, the under-edited tribe, and then the tribe that gets a weird amount of content and probably has the winner on it. So that's kind of how I divvy them up, in my personal opinion.
yeah. And I think Survivor 46 too is a good place to reference, because I think this season does feel kind of like a proto 47. I think you have the what's the tribe? What's the purple tribe from 46?
Yanu?
Yeah, you have the Yanu tribe with Kelly. I hate New Era tribe names so goddamn much, by the way. Couldn't tell. But a lot of the upside, I just think that blue is circumstantial still. And I don't know. Is there anything left on Jason, by the way? I feel like
I mean, it's hard to talk about a player when they have 0 confessionals. or conversations. I want to be able to provide updates, but Jason, the only thing I really could think of is getting the puzzle done in time. But I didn't see much, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And
well, I guess for me, I guess I'll justify Jason because Jason was actually 16th for me. He was at the bottom. It's kind of like what you guys were saying was I felt like there were so many opportunities to include Jason, especially in this episode, and I just feel like production didn't even take him. The reason why I have Sophie above Jason is because the MC storyline, I feel like they could have taken that two ways because obviously the two people left out of that alliance of four were Jason and Sophie, and I feel like they could have used that to propel Jason, talk about how he's not in the main group, about his underdog arc, how he's going to be able to rally the numbers. And instead, they gave all that potential content to MC and then Sophie. So it feels a little bit odd to, again, not include Jason when he's not even part of the majority alliance or any of his perspectives.
yeah, and now the question is always just what comes next and what are they trying to build up for? Because if Jason, let's just say Hina goes tribal next episode and Jason goes quietly, what was the point? You know, and it's like, why? I kind of feel bad because Jason is out on the island. He's eating, sleeping on dirt. He's eating worms, probably, not just Jeremiah. And so it's like, can we just get a confessional from the guy? Like, he seems like an okay chap. He seems friendly and nice. Seems a little awkward, but like, goddamn, so am I. You know what I'm saying? Bring back Jason for Survivor 50, by the way. I'll say it. But I have a theory with this next guy. Is it just me? Or does Jake, is this whole game just him trying to get on Survivor 50? That's what I think is going on.
I actually think that Jake is trying to,
Win?
misrepresent himself from our fellow guest here. Bandit, I feel like you would have a lot to talk about the Shoe Bandit for this
I'm the
episode.
better one, by the way.
There we go. Let's go.
You came prepared.
The Shoe
I got the
Bandit.
props on deck.
Listen, you've been here before Jake was. You're the original. The OG.
I'm getting
I-
doxxed here. I'm secretly Jake. No,
I
don't
see
know,
the
it's-
resemblance.
yeah, it's just it's a bit odd because like it feels like Jake is going to like the school where like Gabe and other people were, where it's like really villainous confessionals, and then you see them on the island and taking people's shoes aside. He actually seems like pretty chill. Like you see him in conversation, he's actually surprisingly reasonable in my opinion when he's chatting to some people. But yeah, like he's definitely the villain of the season. Like he's nowhere near the pre-modern Survivor like Scott Pollard villains or anything, but he pretty much is the closest thing we'll get to a villain in modern Survivor. Yeah, surprised you guys have him so low because I guess I see a lot of spider webs linking off him in terms of the tribe. I feel like the entire tribe revolves around him. He's the only person that I really know every remaining person's relationship with him. But yeah, like he is definitely, I don't think he's going to win the season. He's probably just going to be set up for a fall, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. He's like I've said this before. Well, he doesn't really hide his alliances well. He's very straightforward with where his game is. It's out in the open. It's hard to trust someone like Jake, in my opinion. I just feel like he's trying to be this character for this season that I wouldn't necessarily want to trust my game with Jake. I mean, he would be a great shield, but I don't know if I can trust him long term.
But I like Alex is his number one ally, I would say. I would say Sophie's probably Jake's probably her number one ally, and then Jeremiah, probably Jake, maybe Sophie. That's the only one I'm a bit risky on. So I feel like, at least in terms of the tribe, he set himself up well.
100%. I do have a bone to pick with him, though. I don't know how it's starting, but for the love of God, I really want all of the Survivor and Big Brother players out there to stop calling people their number ones when they're not actually number ones. Have lost all meaning. Jake, this episode, he's like, yeah, I got my number one and Sophie, my number one and Alex. They're both my number ones.
You can't have two
number
number
ones.
ones.
I can't have two. Come on. I know it's semantics, but I'm mad about that. But
I think when you say like, oh, they're both my number ones, let's all go to the final three. There's three chairs. But like all in all, even if you say something like that, let's remember that at Final Four, there's going to be a fire making challenge. And you're going to have to send one of us to fire. So who is it?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Alex or is it going to be me, Sophie? Like, which
Or
one?
or Bandit Survivor.
Exactly. I just
Okay.
come in, win fire making, win the whole season. Go
That'd be a
back to
That's it,
crazy.
Chris
Rotterdam.
Underwood.
Hey, that'd be a crazy
That's
twist.
it. Just make a
but, like,
fire, win the game. That's it. Just make
Now
one
that we're
fire.
talking about it,
That's all.
I would not be surprised if I saw Bandit Survivor just walk in the final tribal council set and make fire against like Jake.
Make fire.
Smuggle matches in my shoe, yes.
But no, I see upside with Jake. I do. I just don't see winner. I don't see him at the end of the game winning. And that is kind of what I base my rankings off of, right? It's less of like who I think is playing the best game right now to win, more of who has the best long job, who just has the best odds, you know. And Jake, I see him making it far. I see him as a main character, definitely. I just don't see him playing to win. I see him just trying to be an agent of chaos and playing hard, and you know, be a new era of Russell Hands, which I can't be mad
No,
at.
but that's the thing. Like, he's not. Jake,
He's
I'm
not.
sorry. You're like
He's Joe Mina.
off-brand. He's like off-brand Russell Hantz. Russell Hantz was a different player. Like,
He set
very,
people's socks on
very
fire.
different. Like, I just like that's what I said episode 1, and that was my thing with Jake. Was like I felt like Jake was trying to be something we've already seen. Like we've seen people take shoes. We've seen that in Nicaragua. We've seen it on Samoa. Like anything that has to do with taking another person's item and clothing, like we've seen it. And I was hoping that Jake could have just maybe brought out more of like a, let me rephrase this. I wish Jake would have taken the game seriously instead of just trying to have fun. I think Jake is just trying to have fun. I don't think he actually cares about winning, or at least his gameplay is showing that he does not care about winning. He just wants to come out here and have the adventure.
Yeah, I suppose the only saving graces for Jake for me is the fact that we have had negative winner portrayals in the past in likes of Kenzie, even though Jake's might be debatably even more negative than Kenzie's. And then secondly, we did get set up in episode 1 to Jake's backstory. It was his father who was losing his vision, and this would be the last Survivor season that he would see. So I feel like that's a storyline that's eventually going to come back again, and he's going to be shown in a positive light. So at least he has that kind of small glimmer of hope in terms of positivity and the modern Survivor sob stories, I guess you can call it, quote unquote, which they love showing. So you'll have that.
Yeah. Which I even feel bad making fun of the sob stories, because it's like they're still real to like in their lives. Like that is probably the roughest thing Jake will go through in his life. It's just we're just spoiled. We're like the people from the Capitol building in the Hunger Games.
Yeah, I suppose
Laughing.
to rephrase my statement, like it's not like a knock
No,
against
no,
any
no,
of these
no, I
events
know what you
personally,
mean.
but it goes back to what I was saying at the very start about how it's just like it's so predictable, the modern Survivor format,
Yeah,
where it's like you just know that they're gonna bring it up just to be able to give him a sympathetic edit, I guess, is what I'm saying.
But my problem too with Jake is that I think what made the Russell Hantz and people who are agents of chaos so successful is because they understood where everyone else was thinking, right? Russell Hantz, I think he was so effective because no one else was looking for idols, because there was a president at the time where you needed a clue, right? Tony Vlachos as well, in a similar light, like he played around with his bag of tricks, used an advantage that people weren't aware of, and they were able to mess with people like that. Boston Rob and Marquesas, right? He played very aggressively that some people were used to. And so I think there's the why that gets so often overlooked with people who play a chaotic game or people who want to play villainous. And so Jake just doesn't have a purpose to hiding shoes, right? It's like, yes, it makes his tribe weaker. Yes, you know, it contributes to them losing challenges, but it's a minor inconvenience. And if he gets caught doing it, that just ruins his social capital. And I'm also curious as to why Alex and Sophie didn't say anything. They they saw Jake pick up Annie's shoes and be like, "Are these Annie's?" 5 minutes later, her shoes go missing, and they said nothing. You know what I'm
It
saying? Isn't
might
that
it might be something
strange?
for another episode. I was actually surprised. I wanted to know if Annie found her shoes before Tribal. I didn't see that. Wasn't talked about it, but maybe I'll have to look back and see if Annie's got one shoe on. I wish they would have
Honestly,
shown it at least. Show Annie
if
finding her shoe.
if he came back, he should do the whole season barefoot. Maybe that's his angle. Maybe that.
That's the new tribe disadvantage, the shoe band disadvantage.
Yeah,
Do
it's
the
just
whole
Jake.
course barefoot.
A funny thing. Jake just goes over to the yellow tribe and just takes their shoes. Have to do the whole challenge. That's the real disadvantage right there.
Survivor 51, if you lose a challenge, you lose your flint and your shoes. Jeff takes them.
That is a real bad disadvantage.
Also, they did show Annie finding the shoes.
Oh, really?
By the way, it just wasn't really like. It was like later, like no one really cared. But is there anything more to Jake in his storyline so far? Like, I feel like I don't want to get. Yeah.
Oh, I find it weird that, like, at least as we're shown in the edit, Jake is so upfront about Alex being his number one, about them having a bromance, about him basically being the same
Yeah.
person, and everyone's just like, "Yeah, that's cool. Let them get to the final four on a tribe of four people where they have two of the votes and an idol." So like, it's a bit weird. It almost feels like they're trying to give Jake a little bit more negativity than maybe is on the island, because on the island it seems like he's playing a pretty decent game. Like, he got out Nicole, he got out Annie that was targeting him to a certain degree at the start. So like, he's definitely got power, and I think he'll make the merge. But I think, similar to you guys, I just don't see his endgame trajectory, which is weird to say 2 episodes in.
Yeah, it's just why would Sophie and Jeremiah stick with Jake and Alex, knowing that they will value each other no matter what, and now they have an idol, and they were confident in Annie going. If I was Jeremiah and Sophie, I would consider just being like, hey, let's cut Alex. Jake would be mad, and I'm sure he would hide shoes and do what he has to do. But Jake, at the end of the day, would have no one else to go to until merge, and it's still really early on.
Actually, that would have been funny if Alex was voted out. Do you think Jake would have been like Scott when it came down to Calrong hiding the pot?
Just wake up and suddenly everyone's shoes except Jake's are on fire in the morning, and it's like, what we did that?
It must have been a squirrel.
That would be so good.
Been a crab.
Yeah, something like that.
But higher than Jake, I think it's really funny because Jake is a big, strong guy with tons of survivalship skills. And then up next we have Jawan, who we have above Jake, who maybe isn't as athletic as Jake is. But Jawan,
it beat Jake in the challenge, to be fair. So maybe he is.
True. But Jawan is interesting because Jawan has negativity, but how bad is Jawan's negativity really at the end of the day?
I don't think it's negative. I really don't think it's that bad. I think Jawan made all the right moves this episode. I thought about it, don't steal the vote. You steal someone's vote, they know you won. They know you took it from them. You're just going to piss off anybody else. I mean, when you think about it, you would want to take that tribe advantage so that you can have that connection, be like, hey, listen, y'all, I could have stole your vote, or we could have just had this tribe advantage. And guess what? You didn't lose, Matt. You didn't lose. But I don't know. I feel like when you think about it, right? You steal the vote, you're only hurting one person.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to hurt only one person, or do you want to hurt a whole tribe? That's the real question. So honestly, if I had to make the choice, I would have went the same way with Jawan, only because I feel like taking someone else's vote really, really hurts somebody and puts them in a really bad position. I think just a tribal disadvantage is I think that's what I would have done.
Now, I guess a question to ask is that if you were on Survivor and Jawan uses the tribe disadvantage on you, would that impact your relationship with Jawan come the merge, right? Like, let's just say you're Matt in the scenario, or I'm Steven. Bandit Survivor can be Sophie.
I do look like her.
It,
I think I would need to have a
I think
conversation.
it's the eyes. I think, like, would you be understanding of Jawan being like, I'm sure he just wanted to avoid tribal, probably this, that, the other thing, because there's a lot of what ifs, and Jawan was forced to make a choice and forced to hurt somebody, and it's either one of the 5 people in his tribe or one of the 2 tribes.
Or maybe Jawan thought, hey, I don't feel really good with anyone on my tribe. I don't feel like I have a strong connection. But if I bring this back to my tribe, I earn favor with everyone. Now my whole tribe is like, whoa, you just brought us something that can really help us. And Jawan did make the right move. Don't go after the tribe that just went to tribal. Go after the tribe that hasn't lost a comp yet. They've
Yeah.
been in first every single challenge. Take them out. Sorry, we can have that conversation when it comes to a tribe swap or a merge, and you probably would have done the same exact thing. Honestly, I think you probably would have. But if Jawan explains to Matt and to Jake, if he gets the opportunity to, that, hey, it's either your vote or we do a disadvantage, I think you'd rather carry the 20 pounds of rocks on your back
Yeah.
than have your vote gone. So I mean, it would only regain the favor with those specific players. But then again, you piss off a whole tribe. So it's I think this journey is like, what weight are you willing to carry? It's a big twist, and it can really affect your game later down the line.
Yeah, my only problem is that I don't think Savannah is the type of player to necessarily forgive that. And I don't think Nate is going to be quick to want to keep Jawan anyways. I think that's my problem, is it's less that Jawan is just like a social outsider. It's the fact that he's actively done things to put him in the ire of his tribe mates, right? Between stealing Savannah's stick bag or looking for idols. He already has a target. And so I think the tribe disadvantage doesn't really help him much when there's already a alliance that's formed with him not inside, with 2 allies that he made beforehand, because he still made that alliance with Savannah and Shannon that pretty much gone under the radar. Like, no one really cares about it anymore, but it's still an interesting little clip from the first episode. And so I just don't know if Jawan is going to make it to endgame. And I think if he does, he will have a better story, and I could see him moving him up a little higher than 13th. Even Jay agrees.
I moved him down a little bit just from my last week's rankings, only because this is a really big decision. This really helps with his tribe, but it hurts with Hina, and Hina wins again. It would have been better if he, let's say he played it on blue, right? Someone's gonna go home, right? Someone's gonna get sent home from that. And in my opinion, I feel like the blue tribe would have handled that immunity challenge a lot differently than yellow. I feel like yellow had players that were willing to carry that weight. I would have been intrigued to see what would have happened on the blue tribe and if it would have slowed them down anymore. But I think if you're going to play a disadvantage also, you might want to play it on the tribe that you know at least one of those people is going to go home, and that's one less person you have to worry about at a swap.
I think no matter what, at the end of the day, it's negligible. With Jawan's story. And Ben, real quick too, where do you have Jawan on your rankings?
We must be in synergy or something here, Will, because I actually have him with 13 as well.
You guys are right on.
We didn't
That's
discuss
good.
anything beforehand, I promise. I feel like he's above Sage in terms of the pecking order. He actually is part of some of these alliances that have been thrown about, but I think he's pretty clearly a 5th, I would say, in terms of the tribe. But just going back to what you guys were saying, I would agree with the tribe disadvantage, because I feel like everyone's a gamer on the cast, they understand. And are you really going to go after someone that disadvantaged you, which was just more of an inconvenience than anything because the tribe still won the challenge compared to, I mean, people are going to be throwing out your names. If you go to tribal council, they might actually write your name down. You know, you'll have people that will be going against you in terms of your best interest.
Mhm.
You'll be going into these journeys where people might be willing to sacrifice you so that they can have their own gain. So I feel like that is a bit negligible in terms of the wider thing. And usually we see the two smaller tribes come together against the bigger tribe anyway. So I agree with their targeting of the yellow. Yeah, it was the yellow tribe. Yeah, the yellow tribe
Yeah.
in that challenge.
And I'm sure too the yellow tribe wouldn't take it personally because it's not like after that one challenge, it's not like the blue tribe will have that much momentum. They'll have their flint, yeah. I don't see it as a death sentence in the modern day because it also just has to happen, right? Like Jawan was forced to take from someone, or else he could have gotten his vote taken away. And
Exactly. Yeah, he can say that. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the parchment, but I'm sure they'll believe him if he was like, "Hey, I could have actually hurt you and took away your vote," as Josh was saying.
yeah, which I think would have. I think they would. I think that's believable. I don't think that's a crazy lie. I think that's just the problem that a lot of people have had with the journeys is that it takes away too many votes, and it was cool that they didn't do that. They made it. They left it a choice. Which, shout out to production. I love the production.
Finally listening to us. Thank you.
Yeah, Survivor fans and production have a very healthy relationship. Absolutely nothing bad going on.
No, they definitely don't copyright strike any YouTubers' videos on Survivor either. So
Nope, never ever.
that's sorted.
Actually, I have a just a little question I came up with on the dome. Are there any like video ideas you've had that you just couldn't do because you couldn't show it on YouTube because of copyright?
I think around the time of Survivor 42, there was the big whole Omar Andrea fiasco. I don't know if you guys know about that, but like
Mm-hmm.
anytime you ever even talked about it, let alone showed footage of Omar Andrea and the same thing, you would get just your video struck down and everything and would threaten to be taken off. So I've had ideas of potentially talking about it then. I talk about it now because it's like years later and they're not really going to bother to do anything and everyone knows about it anyway. But that's one of the topics. And then just other things that would, like, maybe if I wanted a really long modern Survivor confessional, that's like 10 seconds long. I'm like, right, okay, I can't do that because obviously they'll copyright claim it. So yeah, those kind of things are just, you don't have to worry about that podcasting at least.
Oh yeah, and so we have to worry about like just the things we say because I'm sure after like a voiceover session, you're probably just fatigued. Like, god dang, I hate talking. Never
I
again.
usually do like last Christmas because like I was doing an intensive uni course, so I was just like I'm gonna batch record them, and it was actually a pretty good idea. I just record like 15 videos in a row, so I'll be like literally talking for 3 hours straight. So I'll get out. I'm like SpongeBob in that episode where he decides he's gonna go without water. I need water. I'm dying, and just you're just lying in bed, just like why did I ever do that? But it gets it all out of the way at least.
Hey, honestly, hustle is hustle. All right, grind is grind. And
Indeed.
oh sorry, I was just going to do two final comments from Diana saying I feel like anyone who chooses tribe over a single person this early in the game, Hina would be mad. Or I don't think Hina would be mad. And then he even lies that the choices were between 3 people losing their vote on a tribe and the tribe immunity disadvantage. I wouldn't even go that far. I think that sounds like a lie. I just think saying it could have either been y'all's votes or disadvantage.
He should lie
Yeah.
and make up a third option where he could steal all the other tribe's shoes, and he didn't do that because he was a good guy. So
He should come up with a 4th option where if he picked it, he would have just eliminated someone from the game. Like no tribal, no nothing. Just Rachel Riley their ass out of the game.
Wow.
If you know, you
that's
know.
not.
I'm sorry, too soon, guys. Too soon. Moving along though, we have Jeremiah, who Josh has a 14. I think has potential still. I think has trajectory.
I don't know. This is the player that I was talking about earlier, who I wanted to talk about on this tribe. The evil laughs. I'm getting a little concerned. All the laughs that that Jeremiah is doing in these conversations are are frightening. But yeah, I mean, we saw Worms this episode. We saw Jeremiah being very vocal about Annie, but I don't see Jeremiah having any real traction in that Alliance 4. I don't see it. There's no way. If Jeremiah survives the next tribal at Blue, it's going to be because they voted out Jake. And if he goes to the next tribal council and it's not Jake, it's going to be because it's Jeremiah. I don't think that Jeremiah has really any traction. His best move forward is to try and convince Sophie and Alex. I mean, you only have 4 votes, and that bromance is now 2. So I don't know where Jeremiah thinks the connections are in the game, or if he thinks that really like Jake is working with him with that under the radar alliance. I think Jake's gonna choose Alex any day over
Yeah.
Jeremiah, and that's why I ranked him so low. I find it really hard to see Jeremiah making it in the game long term unless the blue tribe wins tribals. Not wins tribals, wins immunities. They got to keep winning.
Yeah, I agree. It feels very reminiscent to a lot of like these kind of tropes that we have in Modern Survivor, where it's this person that is kind of in the main majority, but then they get down to 4, and it's like, okay, you're the obvious boot. And it feels like they're really setting up Jeremiah in the past 2 episodes as having the opportunity to flip, being in a power position where he could have decided to go with Nicole and an Annie, and he just hasn't taken any opportunities, and he's going to get played. I do agree, Josh, is that his edit definitely could spark up if he is someone that just happens to keep on winning challenges and makes it to emergatory.
Yeah.
But if not, like I feel like if the Blue Tribe go to Tribal Council again, it's probably going to be a storyline of Jeremiah trying to get Sophie to get out Alex. Sophie talks about, oh, I've always wanted to get out Alex because they're the opposing
Oh,
number one Jake.
that's a really good narrative because I never thought, what if Jeremiah tried to go after Alex because he has the idol? But
Yeah.
but what if he plays the idol? Like that's the thing. Don't fight the idol when everybody knows about it. Work with the idol. Try and at
Yeah,
least work with it. Because
exactly.
if you're just gonna come after Alex, Alex is gonna control that narrative, and you don't have that many votes to split. Like you
Mm.
can't split. You have to lock in on this. And I think it's too risky. It's way too risky to go after someone with an idol. So
Yeah. It kind of goes back to what I was saying, where I feel like in actuality, Jake weirdly is like actually really well positioned. I feel like they would go after Alex. It's a lot more
Mhm.
incentive for Jeremiah and probably Sophie. But even then, I think we're going to get the storyline of Sophie being like, "Oh, I could swap sides, and I could do this," and then it's just going to be another like boring boot where the person on the bottom goes. In this case, being Jeremiah. So I don't know. It feels like very much we're being set up as a potential final 3 on the blue tribe, going back to tribal council one last time, and Jake having to like pick between Alex and Sophie. So I don't know. It just feels like Jeremiah might be fodder in that case.
Yeah, I feel like this happens every season now, and every time I'm always wrong. It's the sunk cost fallacy is why Jeremiah's at number 8. 'Cause I think if Jeremiah just survives the pre-merge, if Jeremiah can either make a swap or just win the challenge, which I think is possible. I say that because Annie and Nicole, they were described as the 2 weak links of the Kelly tribe. Now they're both gone. Now it's just in theory, the 2 bros who obviously are strong, and then Jeremiah and Sophie to hold it down on the puzzles. I think Jeremiah has the roots and the beginnings of a solid winner edit in story. I don't think he's been getting a lot of screen time, but he's gotten enough, and he's getting weird amounts of personal bits, of gameplay bits. He had 2 confessionals this episode. One was about him eating worms. The other was about him being concerned about his position in his alliance, which is astute enough. And I think that he is at least aware enough of what's going on around him and the position that he's in. It's just, can he surmount that position? Because right now it's looking a little bleak for Jeremiah, but I think it's possible. And Ben as well, where do you have Jeremiah on your?
I have him about 10, so pretty much in between where you guys have him. I feel like it's one of those situations where it could go somewhere. I don't think he's going to win the game, even if he does make it to the merge, but I could see him being like a final 5 boot or just somewhere picked off along those lines, final 5, final 8, something like that. But probably more than likely is unfortunately going to be picked off pre-merge, kind of like a Genie or a NECA or one of those individuals where it's like you weren't really at the top of the tribe all along, and you're just kind of fodder for the bigger characters to keep going.
Yeah, or Sarah Wade.
Yes, that's a good one.
Big Sarah Wade in the Big 25. And are worms worth it? Probably. Have y'all ever had worms?
They're pretty protein packed, aren't they? Most like
Yeah,
worms and insects are, I think so.
I put worms in my baked potato for the extra protein. And is Jeremiah being the winner a crackpot theory, guys? Will we say that? Is that a...
I would say that's pretty crackpot if you're saying that Jeremiah's getting a winner at it. I would say that that's definitely very crackpot.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that, you know, it's looking likely, or it's possible, you know.
I could see it, but I need more stability. Jeremiah's just on the bottom, and I don't see any traction.
Yeah.
That's why I'm having such a hard time placing Jeremiah anything higher than 12 right now.
It's very much like the Rachel mold that he is, where like Rachel, if there was one more round in the game and Yellow Tribe went back to Tribal Council and Survivor 47, Rachel goes. But I feel like Rachel's edit was a lot more positive at this point than Jeremiah's, and she had a lot more of a winner edit.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, I guess, his direct comparison for me in terms of winner potential. But even then, it's not great.
Yeah, but even then, I think Rachel had her big scene in episode 2 with the rice, like as the personal content. I think there's still time with Jeremiah, and I just think it's not as over as it is. But for Diana as well, and for my own sanity, I have to. That is our crackpot theory graphic, Mr. BanditSurvivor. If you have a crackpot theory, contact the number, and we'll play the crackpot theory graphic for you at a moment's notice.
Okay, very good. I might hold on to. I might keep my crack reserves here at the moment, but I'll whip it open when we get further down the list, I'm sure.
And Jay disagrees with the crackpot theory, but don't worry. I'm sure we'll have more.
To be fair, like now that I'm looking at it, the winners always get like this really like weird personal content, like Dee's big toe, Rachel's rice, Kyle having his spots or whatever they were. So I can kind of see it. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I don't know. Just at this point, it's a bit weird.
But if it is possible, if it does happen, by the way, oh my god, my whole computer's crashing.
Yeah, it's trying to stop the evidence. It's trying to erase it. They're trying to feed us the blue pill.
I think Will might be having technical difficulties.
I hear everyone. Do y'all hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Will.
Okay. Well, I currently can't click on anything on my computer, but that's wonderful.
Okay.
You know, but I was going to say with Jeremiah too, is that it's not looking likely. I understand. However, I think it's possible. And I think that's the same argument I made with Rachel back in Survivor 47, was that it's possible. And I think in a lot of regards, a very similar argument I made with Shaheen last season as well. So I think Jeremiah is going to be my little like science experiment. You know?
Okay. Did you say a science experiment? Oh, well, it's just us, Bandit.
I like how there's a literal
I'm
storm
still a
going
little
on
bit
here.
stuck on that science experiment thing.
Yes.
But I can't
no.
hear you either now.
You
What
can't
is
hear
going
me?
on?
Can you
Are we
guys hear
all
me?
experiencing technical difficulties?
Am I the only one that has one?
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna try the show.
I can't hear anyone.
I can hear you well.
Okay. This guy
Can you
goes
hear me?
Storm. I think your storm is messing me up.
I like how there's a literal storm going on and I'm the only one without technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't, and now my monitor just won't turn on.
I've cursed you all.
It's okay. I've dealt with worse curses. But I think next we have Matt, and when Josh comes back in, he'll just come back in. But Matt, I thought episode 1 had a really good premiere, and then just this episode kind of ruined it. What is your stance on Matt right now? Because I think right now he's the most divisive guy on Hina for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're twinning here again. I've got Matt at number 9. It feels like one of those edits that you always get like one or two or maybe three of them where it's like they could be a villain in the season or they could be positive. And I feel like his edit was so middle of the road. It can't be seen as him being, the biggest gamer on the cast, him being underestimated, being this old guy that no one's expecting. But then the other end of the spectrum, he's willing to go out on a journey. He's someone that is seen as a bit more schemy. He's someone that, again, is maybe overplaying his hand a little bit too much. We literally have a confessional about MC where she's saying she doesn't trust Matt and that she doesn't want to work with his group that he pitched and how he's coming off as a bit weird because he had a 3-person group and he introduced her last minute. So it feels very much like it's either we're supposed to take Matt or MC side, and whoever has the more positive edit coming into the next episode or two is the person that we're supposed to side with, and the other one's just going to get laid by the wayside.
Oh, looks like Josh might be back. I'm just going to remove him until his camera comes back on. But now there's 2 Josh Pickles.
Hey.
Now we can't hear you. This is but my thing with Matt is that he's just being too loosey-goosey with the things he's saying to other people, because I honestly think that he has the makings and he's in the best spot on Hina. He is someone that is going to be underestimated, very valuable to camp life and shelter. And I think that I think Matt's position in the game was very strong. It's just letting information slip like that is very detrimental, especially early on. And I think it is shown. Hello, Josh.
Hi. Sorry, technical difficulties.
It's all good. It's okay. Shout out to Ollie, by the way, who's helping us behind the scenes. But Matt's position took a dive, and I see this being the beginning of the end for him. And yeah, Gemini, I think in terms of not stocks, but in terms of just like what's going on screen, I think it's either him or Steven. Maybe Steven.
I disagree. I will continue to believe that MC is in the best spot, considering everyone wants to work with MC. They had a whole conversation about it where everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I want to work with MC." Like, I think MC is in the best spot. We're just made to believe that Matt's in the best spot because he made fire. He's the one initiating the conversations. That to me doesn't sell that Matt is that type of player. And also, he just lost a journey. I would have hoped that he would have gotten something from that, and I don't think it really puts him in the best spot.
Well, something that we also need to talk about are winners in Modern Survivor that get like a lot of pre-merge conflict or end up in situations where they could be in trouble. So it's kind of like something that has been happening really since the beginning of Modern Survivor, where there's always been some established storyline of a person being in trouble, even though they're not really in trouble. So, like, for example, Erica in 41. Sean said he would throw the challenge to get her out, but it turned out to be Sydney. The D situation, we had so much talk about Sifu wanting to gun for her and take her out because she put his name down as a vote, but it was never really that in hindsight. I feel like the Matt situation could be something that makes the viewer go, oh goodness, Matt could be voted out pre-merge by MC. But the weird thing I find is that there wasn't a counter majority established. It was MC going to Sophie and being like, hey, did you hear about this 4-person alliance? But you would assume that Jason is in there, but there was never a fourth that was set up. If it's Steven, if it's going to be Christina. So it feels very weird to have that controversy. Well, not controversy, but that counterattack without it going the full way, if you know what I mean. It feels like danger without having it be fully true. It's a bit more manufactured.
Yeah, 100%. And it's still the why though. I understand that they can do that. It's just if Matt is still the winner, this is just a weird episode regardless, right?
Agreed.
It's at best it protects him, at worst and at best it causes some conflict that production loves giving its new era winners. it just felt so forced and inorganic, and the lack of payoffs. Something is going to happen, and it's something going it is going to be very sudden or something. Maybe an alliance just steamrolls, and this is kind of what's happening again, because this is very similar to last season, where there is the important main characters that get all the screen time, and then everyone else, all the outsiders. And I see Matt as being the Mitch of the outsiders, the guy who gets the most amount of screen time in confessionals, who is the active, most gamey of players, but still is, in the grand scheme of things, unimportant to the story, which sucks, because I think otherwise he could have had a really good episode, a really just smooth, because Matt didn't need much for a great episode either, which is rough. Anything left on Matt, by the way, as well? I feel like Hina overall is just a very hard try to talk about this episode.
I think the last thing that I'll leave with Matt is the reason why I don't think Matt wins the game is because the one thing that was really shown where Matt was trying to orchestrate something and create this alliance, we immediately got a confessional from MC saying how she doesn't trust Matt. And to me, that does not really show that Matt is going to be a player who stays around very long, at least in terms of, like, this is the first majority alliance, and Matt really seems to want to work with MC and trust MC, but MC, I think, is playing a very cautious game. Very cautious.
Oh yeah. And Jay, I'll get your hot take when we talk about MC as well, because MC is coming up very shortly. But before we have MC, we have Christina, who I kind of regret having at number 10. I would actually drop her significantly. Not significantly. It's just the lack of confessional. I kind of forgot, because she was more involved this episode, because she was at least in the majority alliance, the trio of Matt, Steven, and her, which is crazy how we haven't heard anything from Christina about this. This feels like a very important alliance on the Hina tribe. Yeah. So why don't we get anything?
I don't know why I ranked Christina this high. Now that I'm thinking about it and I'm seeing your ranking, kind of makes me feel that I was in a very different headspace. I think the one thing that I was thinking about was, even though she didn't have a confessional, she was a part of that majority alliance. But to me, she felt like the fly in the wall. I don't think anyone would suspect Christina. And I think Christina is if there was one player this season that can really be that fly in the wall, I think Christina is the player. Right now, that's just who it is. I feel like she has been approaching the game undetected, both in terms of confessionals to the viewer, to the game, but nobody's really talking about her. She's in the right conversations, but I don't think anyone's going to perceive Christina as a threat. And I think that that's really beneficial to someone's game, because if you're not perceived as a threat, nobody wants to vote you out. And I think Christina will be that asset for some players on her tribe.
I see that. I see the vision. It's just, if that was what was going on, if that did happen, we would hear about it. We would see it. And maybe it's circumstance, because, Uli right now has quicker developments forming, right? I feel like these alliances are more rigid and have more structure. I feel like Hina overall feels more loose and more messy. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Hina does go to tribal next, and maybe their tribal council is super chaotic and crazy, and we can kind of get an update on a lot of these early relationships forming. It's just too many question marks that I like. And Christina, more than anyone else so far, I think is the most invisible player by far, because I don't know anything about Christina, as unfortunate as it is. And, like, Ben, do you have anything to, like...
She's, as you said, she's like the least developed person on the least developed tribe. It's like, she's literally part of the majority alliance, and Steven got a confessional, Matt and MC got big moments, Christina got nothing. So I'm sure, much like Josh was saying, she seems very socially capable. she's always talked about in these majority alliances. So I've no doubt that she'll be making it somewhat far in the game. But in terms of an actual winner ranking, again, if you end up with zero confessionals, she was actually 15th on my list. I just
Oh,
do not see whatsoever the
we're not
pathway.
even in the ballpark, but that's good because like at least like one of us thinks she's going to do really, really well. Will thinks that she's going to be right in the middle, and you think she's gone pre-jury.
Oh, are we doing it placement wise? Oh, I
Well,
just
I,
thought.
well, yeah, well,
Josh views it like that.
I think we view it differently because this is where Will and I really view it. Will ranks his players based on where Will thinks that the winner is going to be. Who's most likely to win? Me, I rank him more on who I think is the next to go. I
Right.
like to rank based on where people are in their alliances and where I think they really stand out and where people might take them out. So my ranking is based on that. Who is the next to go? And Will
I
is
guess.
always who's the next to win.
Yeah, I guess for me, I look at it at the percentage of their odds to win. So I would say that Christina is the 15th out of 16th most likely person to win the game.
There you
And
go.
that's why for me, like I'm bringing up a lot of these people that have more negative edits, like Jeremiah 10, Matt at 9, Jake at 7, and it's because at least they have the strength of content and confessionals that could
Yeah.
potentially flourish into a win. But yeah, and shout out to my man Russell Muscle in the chat.
Russell Muscle invades my algorithms on Instagram. I'll be scrolling, and then bam, I'm learning about how Survey Fields dominated Survivor Marquesas. Survey Fields was not on Survivor Marquesas, but similar ballpark as well. I kind of want to talk about MC in a very similar light. Josh has MC at number 3. That
Yes.
is absolute
Yes.
insanity. By
It's
the way.
not. I think there are 3 people who are in the game right now. Confessional wise, I'm hearing
Just 2.
I'm hearing opinions though. That's what I value in a confessional is when somebody isn't just talking about something random, when they're talking about playing the game. MC to me is 3rd place because the top 3 people, well, I won't tell you the other 2, but I think I have a very diverse top 3, and by that I mean like all 3 are from a different tribe. I think MC is the one who's running the show there. MC is playing it low key, but everybody wants MC in their alliance. I don't see any path where MC isn't the majority or the swing vote on Hina. There's no way. I think MC is going to be the one who leads the charge on getting Matt taken out. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. Matt will be the first to go on Hina, and then afterwards, it's most likely probably going to be Jason just for lack of connection on the tribe. So I think it's going to be MC who's running that alliance on Hina, and when it comes to a tribe swap or a merge, I see MC being the voice of reason. And I hope that MC is someone who works closely alongside Christina and Steven moving forward. But Matt in that MC confessional after Matt tried to make an alliance, to me, that says MC is running the show and MC is the one who's calling the shots or making the big moves on that tribe.
She has 2 confessionals.
It doesn't matter. I like MC. It's the conversations too. Sure, 2 confessionals are one thing, but having conversations being shown and showing where her head is at, because like it seems that she's been approached twice and she's done the same thing twice. When Steven approached her for the first episode for an alliance, just saying, hey, I feel good with you. MC's always asking questions. MC is always somebody trying to get more information. And other players aren't doing that. Jake, he's stealing shoes, right? Like Annie's just telling people what to do. And Jason's not doing anything right now. Savannah seems to be the only person really thinking that way. Nate coming up with that whole alliance, everything. I mean, what's Joanne thinking? What's Sage thinking? What's Sophie thinking? Right? I mean, for me, MC is really that driving force on this tribe. And she's the one who's actually thinking about the game long term. And that's important for me when it comes to having and picking somebody who goes into the jury. It's somebody who's thinking about all those moves and every single thing that's going to happen later down the line. I think MC is 100% in the game, and she's probably the most locked in player on Hina. If that's crackpot, sue me.
Do you want me to donate my crackpot to you then? I think I've got one on storage here.
Yeah.
I have her at 8, so like I'm kind of like the median for this, I guess. But like I think MC is the best of a bad bunch. I can say that. She's not quite Steven
Mhm.
level, but she's good. But she's from Hina, which is a very underdeveloped tribe, and like I don't know, like she's in the middle, but she just doesn't really have any personal story set up fully within the first 2 weeks, which is a little bit of a knock for me.
Yeah. I just feel like MC is at no point has she ever really been the focus upon anything. Like I even think that this was the first time we've seen MC really in the show. Like her confessional and bits of screen time last episode, they were involved in Steven's montage of him making one-on-ones with people. And so I feel like even then MC has gotten the shaft continuously, despite being more proactive in her game. I mean, 11 is not the worst. There is a gap between her and whoever I had at number 12, Jake, for sure. And honestly, I would swap her and Christina definitely as well. I didn't realize that's how I had them. But I just, again, don't have much to say about MC or anyone on Hina, unfortunately enough. Unless anyone else has any more input.
I've said what I had to say about my girl.
And actually, real quick too, it's okay for MC to be on the bottom of a 4-person alliance because you're allowed to hide.
Exactly. I think that's the best way to play, though. Don't call the shots in the beginning of the game. People are going to think that you're playing too hard. Lie under the radar. Secure yourself in alliance. I think Mike said it really, really well last episode that we had. Will, it's okay to be on the bottom of a threesome or a foursome alliance. It's okay because when you get to a tribe swap or a merge, you'll have those numbers to make a change if you need to. It's fine. But if you feel that you're on the bottom of that alliance, you can decide whether you want to stick with that. If they're being loyal to you, if you can trust their word, move forward with them. But if they treat you as expendable, you'll have that opportunity. But it's always good to be on the bottom of an alliance than be in no alliance at all.
Oh yeah. And get us a friend who defends you like Josh defends MC.
I will defend MC all game. Annie, MC, Rizzo. That's my draft. So I'm going to be rooting for all those players all season long.
Did you say Annie? I have some bad news.
Annie, yeah, well.
And now we have Alex, who really comes down to this. Is his good screen time, and right now he's the most visible player, right? Is his good screen time because of circumstance? Because he went on the journey, because he found the idol, because he had to overcome? Or is it because he could be the winner of Survivor 49 and we just don't see it?
I think
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
definitely
I feel like if
upside.
this was I feel like
No,
if
no.
this was Australian Survivor, I would be on board because he's got 21 confessionals, and it's like, yes, bring it in. Alex is the top confessional getter. I think Survivor US is a little bit more nuanced, and it is going to potentially have individuals that are going to have smaller confessional counts start to rise up the winner rankings compared to Alex, which is a bit more out in front. I was actually surprised when I saw Alex's confessional count. I thought he had far less confessionals than Jake, so I guess that's one positive for him. But I don't know. I feel like he's got a good mix of situational content, but I feel like you can't have 21 confessionals and have it all be situational. I feel like we've definitely got some exploration of Alex's alliances, some of his agreements. It just seems like he is the person that's being undercut by Jake, particularly in this episode, having to take out Annie, who is a lot more in his corner, compared to Jake, that I feel like is getting the better of the exchanges. But he does have the idol, and he does seem to have decent bonds, albeit not the best.
I said this at the beginning to you, Will, last episode, that I felt like Alex was the player on this tribe who had the strongest connections because everybody wanted to work with him, whether it was his 3-person alliance or it was Annie trying to get Alex to work with him to make a big move. I feel like Alex has been somebody that people really gravitated towards on first impressions. I mean, Alex was on that journey, episode 1, and still had players who wanted to play with him. I don't know the last time I've seen that really happen where people were so vocal about wanting to play with somebody who missed out on the opportunity to have those conversations, but didn't even skip a beat when they came back. It's really a big risk to do it, but I feel like nowadays going on the beginning journey isn't really as devastating, at least for the last 2 seasons. Last time I think we saw somebody who got really hurt was TK in 47 when he went on the beginning journey, didn't bring back the supplies for the puzzle picture hunt, and then got booted off second. So I think Alex, in my opinion, is one of 2 complex players on this blue tribe. And Alex with an idol definitely boosts his longevity. I just don't know if the security is going to be there when he loses again and again. I still predict this tribe to go to another tribal council before a swap. So if they got out a Jeremiah, there's only going to be 2 people that are going to have their backs. And if the duo talk is talked about, or people kind of read between the lines at the tribe map when they see that Jeremiah was voted out, they kind of get the picture. The guys are running the show. So I don't know how that's going to be handled, or if somebody down the line is going to say, hey, let's take out Alex so that we can break that up. I don't know. I want to see him go far. I think we got to see a lot more of him, but I want to see him in the driver's seat a little bit more. I want to see him not listen to what other people have to say and him kind of pitch an idea to someone else. I think he definitely has the power to do so. I want to see him make a move. If he takes out Jake, I think that would be an incredible move for his resume, especially at the beginning of the game. I think it would be pretty big to say, "Hey, I took him out because I wanted to play my own game."
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're getting the worrying part for me is that we're getting increasing Sophie rhetoric about wanting to take out or at least try to diminish Alex. Like she was literally burying leaves on top of the idol box so that he wouldn't get the idol, trying to bury the ball. She's talking
I
about getting
thought
out
that
Alex.
was smart though, Bandit, because think about it. The idol clue literally said if it's not found by tribal, it's no. It's nullified, no good. So for Sophie to think about that, if Alex doesn't find it, Sophie's like, okay, no idol, I can go find it. Right? I thought that was actually pretty genius. And I don't think Sophie's getting a lot of credit for that.
But if it's null, then that means it's void, right? So that means no one
Yeah, it
gets the
means it's
idol.
Yeah,
gone.
nobody gets it, and then production would have to replant another idol.
Yeah.
So hide the box.
I mean, I think yeah, it's risky. Like obviously she can go and then once the merge happens, she can try and refine the idol. But I think deliberately not allowing Alex to have the idol, like that is not being an ally of Alex. That is
Yeah.
someone that literally wants to undercut Alex and is saying, "Hey, I recognize that you're after the same person I call my number one." But again, shout outs to Jake. I'm a Jake truther, fellow bandit.
Honestly, get yourself a friend that that defends you like Bandit Survivor defends Jake.
Yes,
Honestly, that's how the saying goes. By
It's
the
a
way.
bandit respects bandit, right?
exactly. We're all rogues.
And I have my thoughts and opinions too on how Sophie maneuvered that I'll get to when we get to Sophie as well. Not for a little bit, but I definitely thought the move was strange. But I just feel like right now Alex is kind of in a lot of ways he reminds me of Austin from 45 early on. Just like the reliable safe pick, but like at the same time you're aware that at any point he can just get like a bull crap snipe out of nowhere pre-merge and just randomly go, because Alex can go next episode and I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be shocked, but I wouldn't be like I would have expected it, you know what I'm saying? Like
I
Alex isn't
could
that
see
brittle.
Sophie flipping Jake, potentially.
I see Sophie flipping both, but maybe I
Yeah.
overestimate Sophie as a player because right now I think Sophie has more control and sway than I think she realizes. But it comes down to if Jake is willing to cut his bromance out of the way. You know.
That's gonna be tough.
Speaking of bromances, did anyone notice the bromance between Rizzo and Nate? I see it.
I think this is a good ranking for Rizzo right now. I don't really know where his trajectory is going to go here because we haven't seen much. But I do think Rizzo is in a safe spot. Just like I can't say that Rizzo is my equivalent of MC, where MC is going to be that swing vote, that person that really decides what happens. I do think Rizzo is that Christina type of player, that player that's in that alliance that isn't really going to be recognized right now, is going to have those feel good energy, that those vibes that they're looking for on their tribe dynamics. I don't see anything, but this can really elevate with elevate with an idol. I think Rizzo and Jawan, maybe probably the two. Rizzo wants to play this game. You see that he wants to play it hard, but we're not really seeing any, I guess, direction in where he wants to go in terms of who he wants to vote with. So I hope this next episode we get to see a little bit more into Rizzo's game. I think I'm going to predict next episode is going to be a big boom for Rizzo. I think somebody, Rizzo or Jawan, somebody on that tribe is going to find an idol next episode. It's going to be what?
Mhm.
We were at day 7. No, wait. No, day 5. So we're going to be at day 7 for this next tribal council in episode 3. It's going to be a whole week. I'm hoping somebody would have found something by then.
Well, I'm gonna throw my own crackpot theory out there. I think, in actuality, in terms of actual on-island days, I think by now all the idols have been found, but they're gonna reconfigure them so that episode 3, we might have an idol find that happened day 2 on the Red Tribe, but they're gonna put it in episode 3 just to have that content. I think they've learned from Survivor 46 to space them out a little bit more, and they have done
Okay.
that in the past.
Mm-hmm. I also want to address a comment real quick. I'm seeing shade about Rizzo dropping.
Well,
I don't
Rizzo
think-
dropped. Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say I don't think Rizzo is necessarily that low. I didn't really drop him at all. Actually, I kept him at numbers 5, number 6, around there. I think is not too different. My only thing is that I think Rizzo had a really good episode 2, one that he needed, because he had 12 confessionals last episode. This is much more quiet, and Rizzo was able to kind of get away with being quiet this episode. There's enough going on already on his tribe with Savannah and Jawan. There's the challenge he wasn't involved in. He didn't go to tribal, and his alliance was still referenced this episode as being a strong 4. I think Rizzo is right now in a really good spot, and I know it's not shade, but it's hard to rank Rizzo because I feel like we kind of have to go off of assumptions and information that we kind of know but kind of not know. He's the biggest question mark, but
Mhm.
through it all, he's still, I think, in the best position, or one of the best positions, in terms of threat management and positioning on the Red Tribe.
You know
I'd
what's
say.
cool too? I would say that like the energy, the vibes that I'm getting from the Red Tribe is it's a very young tribe. And I do feel bad for Nate because I do see how Nate can struggle on a tribe like that. Everybody there pretty much has a younger personality. Um and I think Rizzo is somebody who can easily blend in with this tribe. It's why a lot of the Red Tribe members are so high on our list because they just feel like they're gonna dominate this game. They feel like they don't have, crossing ideas and people who all want to do their thing. They all seem to be like kind of more on a unanimous front. So I mean, until we go to a tribal, I think they're gonna dominate the game.
100%. And everyone say hello to Zans as well. Zans, this is Mr. Bandit Survivor. Go to YouTube. And you can join the Bandit Survivor Discord as well. I
Oh,
just
thank you.
joined.
Yes, I saw you post. What was it, about an hour ago? And that's so you've taken time out of our podcast to say hello in my Discord server. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've Rizzo at second. First should be pretty obvious, but yeah, like Rizzo keeps on getting these like random little spikes of content that I didn't expect. He comes back from
Hmm.
the journey, and then he gets this content, and I thought he would just be done for the journey, and most people would. It was like, okay, you had your great moment. Okay, end of the act, move on to the next one. But then he starts talking about his personal story and about his heritage and about his family and everything. And I was like, that's great. And then Rizzo again, he was chatting to Nate, and I was like, this is just gonna be camp life scene, it's gonna be fine. And then he starts talking about how Nate reminds him of his dad, about he's
Yep.
got this really close bond with Nate. So it's like, okay, like we talk about a lot about like content that you have to show, but like a lot of Rizzo's content, I feel like it doesn't have to be shown on the show, and that's actually good in a way that they're going out of their way to show him off and his dynamics.
Yeah. And that's always just like a very important thing to just keep note of. I honestly think I kind of regret having him at number 6, but at the same time, everyone else, granted, is more situational. I think just have stronger episode 1s and episode 2s. Rizzo is just tried and tested. Like, this is the usual concoction of a winner edit or just a very good edit in Survivor. And Survivor's also always put an older person in their 40s with much younger people. And
Yeah, they do need to switch that up. They
just
do it a lot.
yeah. And we'll get to Nate when we get to Nate. But before Nate, we have Steven, who I kind of felt bad because last episode, you were there. I was dissing him, and he came into the chat. So, Steven, I'm sorry. I moved you up to number 7. Hope you
Steven
forgive.
to me feels like the typical person who would lose fire. I mean, we know Steven can't make fire because I mean Matt was the
Yeah.
one who did it. So I thought this would be an interesting place to put Steven. He seems to also be in that same spot as MC. And if you saw my rankings, Steven and MC were 3 and 4. So I had this duo going pretty far in the game. And I feel like they both had that level mind likeness, I guess. So I
Mhm.
don't know. For me, I feel like a dominant tribe would have somebody who would really have each other's back. So that's where I thought in my rankings that Steven and MC were going to be the last 2 remaining people from Hina. But I put him here because I do think that he is somebody who is capable of going really, really far. But I don't know if it's going to work out.
Steven as well, I just think is the objectively the more gamier of Hina tribe members. There's also MC, but we just don't hear from MC as much. I think Steven positionally is in the best spot he has. I think the most balanced edit. There was a bit of weirdness going on in the premiere that I didn't like. However, it seemed to just not really matter as of right now. I think no matter what happens to Hina, I think Hina goes to tribal soon. And I think no matter what, Steven is going to be okay. And I hope I don't regret that because I feel like I always say that and then they get voted out right after. Does anyone remember Justin from last season? Because I
Yes.
do.
Well,
Or
Justin had a really Justin was in a rough spot too because Justin was playing like the middle game for such a long time, and it was like, and then that absurd tribal council that happened.
Justin has my heart, man. But Bandit, where do you put Steven? Because I think Steven, I wanna like him more, or I wanna say that he has a better chance than I do.
I have Steven at 3, to be honest, and that's because
Thank God.
of this collection of letters called SPV. So SPV is second person viewpoint, where people are talking very positively about Steven. I mean, the amount of times we get crammed down our throats about Steven's amazing, Steven's great, Steven's the second coming of all these incredible Survivor players. It is just insane. We have MC literally talking about specifically, I don't like Matt. I don't want to be in alliance with Matt, but Steven, I love him. He's not even part of the whole debate between MC and Matt, and he still gets dragged in. And the best part about Steven is it feels like you're getting so much Steven content. He's only got 6 confessionals. So he's someone
Yeah.
that we know a lot about while having very small amount of confessionals. It's very similar to kind of like Hunter. in Survivor 46, where he got very small amount of confessionals, but so many people were talking about him that he had a lot of positivity. That being said, he could have a Hunter trajectory where he is so positive that he gets taken out mid-merge and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think it Hunter is a crazy comparison because I just never would have expected it, but it makes a lot of sense. It's just Hunter was very quiet, and I just get a little afraid that Steven will blow up.
Are we
And I
talking
think
about game wise, like Hunter
Yeah.
personality wise, or
Hunter edit wise,
because from edit wise? Because I was like Hunter was like a comp
visibility
beast.
wise, and like,
I could
but
see Steven being good at challenges, especially immunity challenges at the merge. So I feel like he's kind of one of those master of all types.
he's built like Michael Bruner from Big Brother. But yeah, honestly, I don't really have much more to say about, because like the problem with Steven is that we have to talk about Hina, and talking about Hina is very difficult for me. Because if not, I'm ready to just move right along to Nate, because I think Nate has a lot more going on. Because I think Nate is doing really good right now, and I'm curious where y'all are, especially Bandit, because I'm seeing Nate at number 8 for Josh, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah, so again, I'm going with the medium here. I actually have Nate as number 4, so I've got Nate at number 4,
Makes
Steven at
sense.
number 3, Rizzo at number 2, and I mean, it should be obvious who's at number 1. But yeah, so Nate, really good content. It's kind of a little bit jarring getting that confessional. It feels like we get all these confessionals from like older people, like Julie from Survivor 45 and like Maria from 46, about how I'm the old person in their 40s on a tribe where everyone is like 10 years younger than me, and they could be my children. But Nate's got some really good content. Great personal story about obviously being on all these movies, consistent enough, and also I feel like is another one of these people, kind of like a Rizzo, that is brought up in a lot of these 4-person majority alliances. So that's really good for Nate.
Well, I think this was a good episode for Nate too. Also, having the episode title is always a fun thing to have. But Nate was the one who pretty much spoke this into existence. I feel like, wasn't he the one who had the conversation with Savannah, and they kind of really started to get this group together? Nate, I feel like, is that centerfold. But I have Nate ranked lower because I just don't see Nate. Here's the thing. Let's say that alliance moves forward. I don't see Nate keeping up with some of the other people in that alliance. I think those alliances, the alliance members with him will take over those immunity challenges when it comes down that. I see Nate being a player who's going to be vulnerable at tribal council for a lot of this season. But the one thing that I did think was interesting is I do think that Rizzo's strongest connection in this game is actually throughout that conversation that he had with Nate. We don't really know who Rizzo is closest with, but I think that this is the start of a connection where Rizzo said, "Hey, I see a lot of my dad in you." And I do think that this can be a connection that's gonna be strong throughout the season.
Yeah, and I think Nate has more upside than we give him credit for. Jay even says low key winner, edit, good personal content. I think, and I think he will be going to a lot of tribal councils, as will winners, because they make it to every tribal council. I think Nate is unassuming enough that he will not be labeled as a threat ever. And Bandit, where do you're in the middle with Nate? Sorry, the fatigue of 2 hours of podcast is slowly catching up. I do apologize.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much just as I discussed, just someone that is kind of what you want, has confessionals, has backstory, not too overbearing, is part of clearly the most complex tribe in my opinion. Yeah, just a fantastic person. Only issue is could end up like a John from Survivor 47, where it's like he's the old guy, we're all young, just boot him out.
Yeah, that's the only fear, but I don't know. I think Uli is much more gamier, and they will protect Nate. I even think Savannah would protect Nate. Speaking of protection, though, Where's Shannon at with y'all? Because I'm seeing Shannon positively over here.
I don't know what you see.
I'm
We
seeing
have two
I'm
very
seeing
different rankings.
I'm seeing
I-
personal content, solidified relationships in the majority alliance. Like,
You know what? I don't want. I'm going off of a what if here. I'm going off of prediction. Okay, this is not shown. The reason why I ranked Shannon lower, I think people are gonna look at how Shannon is playing this game, wanting to be somebody who's always there for everybody. This whole, wellness, like let's all pray, like all that. I think it's gonna catch up to Shannon, and I think people are gonna get annoyed of it. They're either gonna get annoyed of it, or they're gonna see right through it and then see Shannon as a player who's coming off as fake. So I don't know how that's actually gonna play out for Shannon. Shannon has been putting herself front and center on a pedestal, letting everyone know where Shannon is. And I don't think it's not coming off negatively, but it's not coming off positively either. I mean, it got Shannon into an alliance, but I don't know. If I was gonna be completely honest with you, in that 4, I think Shannon's at the bottom. I think Shannon's at the
yeah,
bottom of that 4.
but it's okay to be the bottom of a 4 person.
It is okay to be it is okay to be a bottom at the bottom of a 4. You're right. I guess that's why I ranked Shannon a little lower. I was trying to think. I'm like, wait, who's left? Oh, it's Shannon. You ranked Shannon second. Why did you rank Shannon second?
I want to hear Bandit's reaction first because I feel like this is very somewhere in the middle, surely.
Oh no, I'm gonna be honest. I'm going against the grain here. I had Shannon at 11, so I'm more sweet up here.
Am I crazy? Am I crazy?
What do you see, Will? Like,
I see it all. I see the personal content. I thought Shannon had a major scene, and while problem is everything Shannon's doing is going against Savannah and Savannah's grain, and Savannah is far and away everyone's winner pick right now, and I get it. It's just Savannah has done nothing so far, and something about the Shannon and Sage relationship is strange to me. That could just be Shannon's downfall. They could target Shannon because she was close to Sage and they see her as an outsider, or Savannah sees Shannon as a threat. But like, she was introduced so early on as a game player too, and that was also weird to me. And I don't know. I see the winner. I see it all.
I see Savannah actually being the one who gets Shannon out because of the fact that Shannon and Savannah are both like alphas. Like they need to run the show. Savannah is the only person who's saying like every little thing upsets me and I'm going to vote them out because of it. And you know what? I kind of like it. Like I kind of like the player, the aggressive style that Savannah is coming into this, but I think that's what Uli needs to be afraid of. Like, that's why I think you can't put yourself front and center because Savannah wants to run the show. They don't know that yet. But when Savannah starts making some moves and starts getting in people's ears, I think, I don't know. Shannon is stepping into someone else's territory. That's how I'm feeling. I think Shannon's in the lion's den.
I don't know. Granted, the second place isn't very strong. However, episode 3 could be a good episode for Shannon, and then episode 4 could be a good episode for Shannon. It could just keep going and going and going, and that's what I'm rooting for. But on the opposite side of things, I'm really curious to talk about these next 2 players. I actually kind of want to talk about them one and the same, because I think their edits are very opposite of one another, right? We have Sophie at number 2. I don't think that's a shock to anyone. I think Sophie far and away has been a lot of people's main Kelly winner pick. Some people are saying Jake, some people are saying Alex, but Sophie far and away. And then like Savannah number 1.
I don't think we've ever been unanimous on a winner.
Not in the second episode.
No.
And we are going to be wrapping things up a little quickly today. However, both of them are very strange because I think Savannah's having a very perfectly clean cookie cutter edit. Everything has been perfect and through the lens of Savannah so far. And I think it's been nothing but positivity with Savannah. Granted, she's been negative about a lot of things, but none of the SPV negativity has been directed at Savannah. Sophie, however, feels different because I feel like Sophie is going to be tanking her game. It's the story of two players who don't really like the position or the alliances they're finding themselves into, but they're forced to play ball. And I think Sophie is trying to be more proactive, and that's been coming across as very negative because she was trying to hide the idol from Alex, which would have been a really weird move to make. And then there's also the Jeremiah feeling left out and excluded in the four-person alliance. And there's also her valuing Jake over and over, only for Jake to immediately not value Sophie over Alex. Jake continuously has been, I want Alex or Sophie. Sophie's been all about Jake. Meanwhile, Savannah has had none of that. Sorry about that.
No, I think both of these players scream one thing to me, and it's a word: perception or perceptive. Both of them are the two most perceptive players on this tribe, and the way that they're attacking this game is so aggressive, but it's in a way that's smart where they're not getting caught. Savannah, a lot of it is how Savannah thinks, how she operates in a confessional, and when she's talking game to herself and telling us, being a narrator to us of what is happening on that tribe, we're not getting any narration of the dynamics from anybody else from Savannah. Savannah is listing out what is going on perfectly that we're not getting from anyone else. And I really value that when it comes to a Survivor player in terms of like their legacy with the game. How are they playing this game? Are they worthy to win the game? And Savannah is definitely somebody that I see. The close second is Sophie. Sophie's on that bottom of the tribe, underdog story. I think that this play of not getting caught hiding the box is genius because that idol, if it's nullified, not only does Alex not have it, it's that duo that you've been trying to get doesn't have it. Honestly, if I'm Sophie and I see that there's a strong duo that's calling themselves a bromance but considers us a three-person alliance, why would I want them to have an idol? I read the clue. I saw that it's nullified, that it's void if they don't find it. I want to make sure that they don't find it because that's just going to put me in a jeopardizing spot. In fact, Sophie thinking outside the box and not even getting caught, that's smart. And I think Sophie got away with a really big move, but it's players like that, like Rizzo, like we saw in episode 1, Sophie here, Savannah, people who think outside the box. Those are the players I want to see win this game. So Sophie and Savannah have the highest rankings for me because they are the players that are willing to think outside the box in order to win this game.
Bandit, what about you? What's your viewpoint with the Sophie B and Savannah?
Yeah, I know we need to hop off and wrap things up, but I guess I'll just encapsulate it quickly. As we talk a lot about the edits of Survivor contestants, but what we don't actually talk about that much is the editors. And what people don't know is that there's an edit team A and an edit team B. So the edit team A takes all the even number seasons, and the edit team B takes all the odd number seasons. And really, if you notice, the people that take the even numbered seasons, they're taking a lot more risks in their winners. I mean, we had Cal last time, we had Kenzie, who had a very negative villainous arc, Jam Jam and Marianne. Whereas this time with the odd seasons, it feels a lot more like it's by the numbers. It's a lot more that they want to be able to put their winner on a pedestal. We see the likes of Dee. Someone compared about it, both Sophie and Savannah to Dee in the comments, who was Survivor 45 winner and odd season winner. We also have Rachel, who had a very by the numbers winner edit, lost to positivity. So even though these two might look like they're a bit out in front, that's kind of the editing that you'd expect. And the only thing is, Savannah's first episode content talking about already having the $1 million is a bit on the nose. It would be one of the most obvious winner quotes ever. But again, on an odd numbered season, there is the potential for that, especially if they do want to hype up the winner just before Survivor 50. So that's
Oh
all I have to
yeah.
say.
I got one more thing to say as well. It's a comment just from Jay. Trying to find it. Do we think that Sophie is going to overplay her hand by trying to get rid of Alex, and will that backfire?
Well, I feel like the difference between Sierra and Sophie is that Sophie actively is trying to undercut Alex by preventing him from having the idol and so forth. So she is actively putting herself as an opposition to him, but she wasn't found out. Sierra was always talking negatively about Andy, but she never
Yeah.
actually did anything against him. In fact, Andy actually trusted her so much, she gave him her fire token. So again, that could be something that is a bit of a point of differentiation between the two and why Sophie would have more longevity.
Yeah. And that said, I just wanted to say that we made it to the end. Bandit Survivor, thank you so much for coming on. Just open invitation, man. I joined the Discord as well, and I'll be chatting whenever. I already see some familiar faces, but I'm looking forward to see the things you do with the channel. Check out Mr. Bandit Survivor, and to the lovely viewers as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy Friday. I'm gonna go walk my dog. Peace, y'all.